All right, what is poppin', party pundits? We are in for another episode of Pop Talk. We are the pundits of pugilism. This is your man, Professor Nim, signing on for Coach Dave,
Group.
the Casual Rand,
Peace.
and Boston Jared. Don't forget the S.
What up?
So we got a lot on our plate, even though it's a bit of a slow weekend when it comes to the overall landscape of boxing. But we do have the return of Gervonta Tank Davis, who is taking on your man Hector Garcia. This is going to be at the Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. Not only that, but this is a kind of a full slate of fights that we have this weekend, including your man Jerron Ennis, who is fighting Karen Chikatsian, and a welterweight fight, Demetrius Andrade, who is returning against Demond Nicholson. And then we also have the return of the Peterson brothers. So definitely showing a lot of love for the Baltimore DC fighters. But before we jump into that, let's go ahead and talk about your boy Tank Davis, who is mired in a little bit of controversy, but he seems to kind of dwell pretty well with those circumstances, and he's able to focus. He's kind of like Floyd in that sense, right? He can have a lot of chaos going on around him, but he's able to kind of have that singular focus and perform well in the ring. So he is taking on your man, Hector Garcia, who actually came to rise when he was a late replacement and was able to give the business to your man, Colbert, in there, who was one of our Sam Bankman-Fried winners from last week. But let's start out with we'll start out with Coach and everything. He's got a lot of connections. If y'all don't know, he's got a lot of connections to this to the DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia boxing circles. And what do you and we'll wait for our picks, but what do you kind of expect to see in this fight this weekend with Gervonta Tank Davis?
Well, I think just on the whole card, man, it's gonna be a great night, man. Just for the DMV boxing overall, man. As you mentioned earlier about a lot of those fighters up there, but this fight, man, with Garcia, man, and I'll wait on my pick, but it's gonna be an absolute exciting fight, man. But And it's hard for me to really get into the mechanics and the technicalities of it without giving away my pick. But let me just say this right here. It's going to be an absolutely entertaining night, man. I think you're going to see it's going to be. I think it's going to be both a technical fight, and it's also going to absolutely be a brawl in a fight. I can't say this. These two guys are not going to be having to look for each other. It's not going to be a super duper fill out process. I will say that I think that Garcia in the beginning might be aggressive, but once he tastes a little bit of that power, I think you're going to see him kind of come to his senses a little bit. And then I'm gonna have to leave it right there. I'm gonna have to get into my pick.
Well, because I don't want you to get into your pick, but just a couple of things there. I just want to bring your expertise into it. So one is, Garcia is a big kind of I guess super lightweight, or where they're fighting at 140. Is this
no 135? 135.
So they are fighting at lightweight. So he's 5'9". He's also a southpaw. So do you think that those, just with his size, fighting another southpaw fighter, do you see any kind of Do you see that as being obstacles that Tank would need to overcome? And just for the record, Hector Luis Garcia is 16-0 with 10 knockouts.
Right. So now, listen, it should be some obstacles, but it's not going to be. Go back and watch that Colbert fight. Go back and watch it real good, right? Now, watch how Garcia fights bending over.
Okay. So he gives away his height.
You hit it on the head. You hit it on the head. He gives away that height. His hands would be low, and he lean and he brings that head right to Tank. He brings it right to Tank. You know. But again, I'm saving it because I'm gonna tell you exactly how Tank gonna stop this boy. You know.
So let's go down to Boston Jared. So there was some footage that was leaked recently. I'm not sure what camp it came from. I don't know if there's anything to really take from it, but there was some footage from when Hector Luis Garcia was in Devin Haney's camp. And
yeah.
Haney was kind of putting the wood to your boy. Do you think that that's just sparring where you don't know what shape the fighter is in, you know, that they'll come in? Or is there anything to take from that?
No, there isn't anything to take from that. Devin Haney fights completely differently than how Tank fights. Devin Haney physically is completely different than Gervonta Tank Davis. So no, I don't think there's anything that we can take from that. And like you said, we had no idea what Hector Luis Garcia was working on that day in sparring. No idea what kind of condition he was in. So no, nothing really to take from that. I forgot about that. That was kind of a side, kind of an afterthought, given the news that came out we were talking about last week. But yeah, I remember that. But nah, that ain't nothing to think about.
So what about the, you know, Coach gave I think a very brought in some, very good notes about Hector Luis Garcia and his fighting style. But do you think that with his size, because he is a big lightweight, do you think that this will pose any challenges for him? And then we don't, this guy's undefeated. He's from the Dominican Republic.
He is an Olympian. I want to make a retraction here. There were several shows that this came up where I suggested, or I claimed that he had won a medal. And I'm on this guy's Wikipedia page right now, and it does not indicate that he did win a medal. He did go to the Olympics. I haven't been able to see much of any amateur footage of him. Look, I always thought Hector Luis Garcia was a credible opponent, one of the more credible opponents that Tank has fought. Now, just because he's credible, that doesn't mean the fight is going to necessarily be any more challenging for Tank. I think Coach pretty much broke it down. Tank's not going to have to find this guy in theory. Now, if Garcia decides to come out and fight in a way that we haven't seen him fight, Tank's going to have to make that adjustment. I don't see anything Hector Luis Garcia having to do anything that Tank can't adjust to. I'm very, very curious to watch and see how this fight plays itself out. We've seen Tank go 11 rounds with a past his prime or 12 rounds almost with a 12 round with a past his prime Gamboa. We saw him go 11 rounds with a Mario Barrios, who, while the fight was at 140, Barrios, I did not rate Barrios very highly at that time. And we saw him go 12 rounds, I believe, with Isaac Cruz, albeit with a broken hand. So I don't think Tank goes in there and just blows this guy out. I expect this fight to be competitive, but we'll see. I'm looking forward to watching it.
Yeah, we'll get your picks in that. So with that said, moving on to the casual Iran. So there has been some outside distractions. We won't get into them. We've kind of talked about those, and everybody else has ad nauseum. But do you think this might be? He's fighting at home. He's got a lot of distractions. People wanting tickets and this and that. He was down there partying in Miami for the New Year. Do you think this might be the time to where he where distractions might come into play?
I mean, it's a possibility, and we've discussed that before, where fighters are fighting in front of their hometown, and they have that pressure to put on a good performance, and then, like you said, the other distractions eating at them. The people come to example, Colbert was fighting in what was it, New York or Philly, and lost. And then Berlinga, even though he won, he pretty much lost the crowd. So it's rare that, I mean, you have it in boxing where you fight at home and you show out, but then there's a lot of times where you fight at home and you don't put on that performance that you traditionally do. But what I do want to highlight with this and here in this forum is the promotion side of this fight. This fight is probably one of the better fights in 2022 and foreseeable in 2023 with the undercards or everybody on the undercard, the size of the fight, and the fact that even on this show, we had a couple of other pundits always questioning Showtime, and if Showtime want to have the money to do something. And the way this production is getting put off, I mean, you had the All Access that just showed last weekend, and then you have a pretty much a 5-fight card with Tank selling out the Verizon Center here in DC. Which is awesome. And Tank is known to bring all sell out wherever he goes, but being here in DC, and then we'll have to see what the pay-per-view numbers does later on. But I think that should dispel for now the talk of Showtime not having funding to do this and that, where this so far up until today, this Tank fight looks like it's going to be a success.
That press conference was ass cheeks though, Randy. That press conference they did looked like it was thrown together in like 5 minutes.
But how many other fights get All Access?
Tank is one of their two stars. I mean, it's like him and Deontay.
I'm just going by facts. I'm just showing that this is what the promotion Showtime as a promotion company is doing for their fighters, and I think.
So why couldn't they do a better press conference, man? That press conference was horrendous. That initial press conference, dude. Tank didn't even know who the guys were on the undercard. It just was okay.
The All Access was pretty good. Did you watch the All Access?
I did not. I
do not doubt. Good.
All right.
Yeah, and it's available on YouTube. So just a couple of correct. So right, we want to just make sure. So Tank is fighting at the Capital One Arena.
Yeah, Capital One. DC.
And so when Hector Luis Garcia, when he fought Cobra, that was actually in Vegas. It was at the Cosmopolitan.
Who lost in Philly? Who was the fighter that got beat up with the green hair?
Are you talking about Radkesh?
No, his nickname is
the
Prime.
one that usually comes in with
what his nickname is Prime.
That's Colbert. Prime time Chris Colbert.
That was in Vegas?
Yep. Is the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas.
Great hotel. Best hotel in fucking Vegas, Cosmopolitan.
Right. Yeah.
Hell yeah, that Cosmopolitan is nice as shit.
Cosmopolitan is nice.
I recommend anybody stay there. Sorry, I don't want to get too far.
Go ahead.
No. So, but all right, before we get into our picks, let's talk about the boogeyman, the new boogeyman of the welterweight division, which is your man Jaron Ennis, and he is fighting your man Karen Chikatsian, who is from Ukrainian, but he's Ukrainian. He's from Ukraine, but maybe of Armenian descent. So this is pretty much a stay in your position fight. I look at it as a showcase fight for Jaron Ennis, who is basically the mandatory for 3 sanctioning bodies, and he's just waiting.
Wait, hold a sec. Wait, is that the mandatory? Let's make sure we're being crystal clear here. He is in the number 1 position.
Yeah, number 1 position.
But
I said
basically.
So I want.
All right, fair enough. All right, not trying to be picky, but just so we know for our listeners. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was saying. So, but I mean, when I say that, so if he there's only two champions out there, actual champions, right? So there's Errol Spence, and then who has the WBA, IBF, and WBC belts, and then there's Terrence Crawford, who has the WBO belts. So he's waiting for his opportunity to fight one of them. He seems to be chomping at the bit for some reason to go after Errol Spence, but let's just kind of talk about use this as a way to kind of talk about the welterweight division. Do we see Chikadze posing any kind of problem for Ennis, and then where should he go following this? So let's turn right back to the casual one, because he has some kind of thoughts about this, because there's some other implications when it comes to this, to these belts, and that is that Virgil Ortiz is fighting Stanionis, correct, for the regular
WBA.
I think for the regular WBA belt. So let's just kind of talk about what you expect to see from Ennis in this fight, and then what's the logical path for him to go next.
I mean, I have never seen this carrying guy, so I'm assuming that this is another tune-up for Boots. But what's interesting is what's next. Boots is going to try to, from what I'm reading, he's petitioning the IBF to be Spence mandatory, where if he sits on his hands, he's already going to be Terrence Crawford's mandatory. But when I was talking to him in
that's no way. That's not true.
Yes, he would.
Nah, Ennis is number 2 in the WBO. Virgil Ortiz.
So just like I told Professor, so if Ortiz beats Stanionis, where does he go?
Oh, I see. He goes to this. I guess he gets this secondary WBA belt.
And then if you're the WBA champ, then you're not a mandatory.
I see what you're saying. Okay, I apologize. I see what you're saying.
So, but in pre-production, where me and you were talking about, is now the networks is going to cause this fight not to happen. So, if I understand, if you're in this, the easiest route to a belt will be Spence.
Yeah, not much easier, because he hasn't been able to get fights with any of Al's guys. So
I mean, but technically, I think Spence tells you he's not fighting. He's going to fight one fight now, and probably Crawford at the end of the year, and then he's going to 154. So,
well, that's interesting, because Jermell Charlo just came out this week and said he might stay at 154 pounds for his whole career. He said he make the weight real easy. So,
but you heard Spence said a couple weeks ago with the who was it, Frank Martin fight, when they were interviewing him, he was like, when they brought up Charlo, he's like, I never said I wouldn't fight him. So, hey,
wow. That's interesting. I believe that shit when I see it.
Yeah,
and he can't just move up and fight. And that's going to be tough for him to move up and just fight Charlo, because he doesn't have the WBO belt, which is the one belt he would need to move up and petition to get a fight right away.
And don't they share camps, right?
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
That's the other thing. You would have to. The trainer would have to. He would put the trainer.
So, like I mentioned, that I've always been saying, it's just each one move up. And Jared, it was in boxing news 24/7 where it says Jamal was going to move up to 168. If that happens, then Jermell, in theory, goes up to 160.
I think that's wishful thinking for Errol Spence fans. I don't think there are very few fights up there for Jermell Charlo. 160 is kind of a no man's land division right now. There is Jaime. I don't know. Maybe let me walk that back, because if you got creative and you were flexible, you can make. I really think the Tim Tszyu fight and a Tony Harrison trilogy fight are bigger fights for Jermell Charlo at 154 pounds than they are at 160. But let's not go too far down that rabbit hole. Let's focus on Boots.
Let's stay in the welterweight division. So let's go with you, Boston Jared. So what do you see? Because I'm checking out. I don't know a lot about Chikadze, and to be honest, I'm looking at his boxing.
Neither do I. He's fought nobody of note.
He's really.
I was hoping for one guy of note. I mean, even his loss came against somebody.
I saw Ali Finica, but it was way past his prime. And he had already had 7 losses, and So but with that said, so let's just talk about we're assuming that Ennis shines in this fight. So what do you think is like a realistic pathway for him in 2023?
A realistic pathway.
Not kind of like if we had our druthers, but what is realistic? Like what is the realistic path for him to get to an actual world title?
Oh, the realistic path is for Spence to vacate and him to fight for a vacant against.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
Against maybe a guy like Cody Crowley, but Cody Crowley is If Cody Crowley is ranked 10th in the IBF, if Cody Crowley gets a fight with, I don't know who any of these guys are. Cody Crowley, if they can engineer a way for Cody Crowley to jump up to that number 2 position, that's your fight right there. You go Cody Crowley, Jaron Ennis for Errol Spence's vacated IBF, if that's the belt.
You know what? If you look at it,
that's the most realistic path.
If you look at it, that's not far-fetched, because Ortiz will be out of there. If Spence fight Thurman, he'll be out of there. David Avenesian needs to be out of there.
He should have been. Well, I don't know.
Why not? Why not fight somebody like Ortiz?
Ortiz will be if he beats Stanley.
Ortiz's fights on DAZN. He's a Golden Boy fighter. Now, I'm not saying that fight is impossible to make. We see Ryan Garcia, the Ryan Garcia Tank fight is being made. Ryan Garcia is a Golden Boy fighter, so I don't want to dispel that. Let's see how Ryan Garcia Tank
will be a champion. I think he'll be Stanionis, and then he'll be off the playing field. So,
right. We're based on what Randy's saying. Yes, that's the answer to your question, Cam. Is probably the most likely outcome when it comes to a potential Virgil Ortiz, Jaron Ennis fight. Ortiz gets dropped out of all the rankings when he gets that secondary belt. But interestingly, if Ortiz beats Stanionis, he moves into that regular belt position. Ennis then becomes the one to Virgil Ortiz. Ennis is right behind him in the WBA. So if Errol decides to vacate the WBA, aka We Benefit Al, can order order almost like a vacant shot. If Al can convince the WBA to order kind of a vacant title shot, maybe that happens, although that would ruffle a few feathers, because normally the WBA just elevates guys, right? They don't order a eliminator. We're seeing it.
No matter what, man, it's looking at 2023's shaping up to be new blood at 147 in the belt era. It'd probably be towards the end of the year, but I say my prediction is that towards November-ish, 147 will look like a whole different championship
landscape.
We hope so.
We hope so.
I'd rather see Rashidi Ellis get that shot at Jaron Ennis. But
let's go to Coach. So Coach, so let's go a different. So I was kind of looking at the what's the most kind of pragmatic route to kind of take with your boy Boots Ennis. But what would you like to see just as a boxing fan, just as a coach, for him to because every time you fight, right, there's some growth that you have and you kind of pick this up. Like, what would you like to see as his kind of next logical step in his progression to be what he hopes, to be an all-time great?
Yeah, man. So yeah, this is an easy one for me, bro. I mean, so whatever the route is that he's getting there, I think things are about to come to a head with three individuals. Regardless of all the talk that's going on and all the motive and whose side of the fence, I seriously think that because of this guy Boots Ennis, that when Crawford, Spence, and Ennis, somehow things are getting ready to come to a head. And I just don't want us to dismiss. I know we talk a lot about promoters and doing that stuff. Let us not lose mindset that when it comes to the boxing sanctioning authorities making up their mind and laying down the law saying, yes, you will do X, Y, and Z, that's what's going to happen. And this guy, man, I would love to see Boots. To be honest with you, I would hope that stuff with Earl would work out where it can happen. But it's kind of like, I don't know who mentioned it. Boots can fight anybody within that rank in the state, but Crowley, Ortiz to fight. I just want to see this guy fight. Whether Earl vacates or not, and goes up, I still think they're going to run into this guy. I can't find the article, but I could have sworn that Boots was talking some type of junk about, hey, I'll even go up to 154 and take all of Jamel's belt. So I can't remember where it was at, but I know it was before the end of the year, like in December or something like that. He had mentioned that. So what I'm getting at, why I'm saying you about to see things come to a head is that, man, you are looking at a guy that's ready to tear up that 147, but you're looking at a guy, and I believe his camp is ready to move, up to do whatever he needs to do to get that fight. So this guy is a major factor it's almost like you got that joker that's causing problems in the world militarily or whatever, and you just can't ignore him. So I'm saying within 2023, not that a fight or whatever may happen, but solid conversations and negotiating might come to the fact where this kid is forcing his way into, regardless, and the steps and the paths that both the Casual Rand and Boston talked about are legit. But I don't know how it's going to happen. But I think in 2023, there's going to be some serious discussion that this division, because of this kid, is about to come to a head. And I'm saying between those three, I'm saying, and let me say it now: Crawford, Spence, and anybody up at 154, if he is truly meant what he said about willing to move up, this guy is coming through.
All right. So with that said, let's go ahead and swing back around and give our picks for the Gervonta Tank Davis versus Hector Luis Garcia. So looking at DraftKings Sportsbook, Gervonta Davis is a overwhelming favorite at negative 1,600. Meaning that to win $100 back, that you would have to bet 1,600, and your boy Hector Luis Garcia is a plus 800 underdog, meaning that a $100 bet on Hector Luis Garcia would net you $800 back. And just a couple of things in there. So Gervonta Davis by decision or technical decision, which might be good money, that's actually plus 350. So if you think that Hector Luis Garcia, who is undefeated, and I don't think he's ever been knocked down, actually, in as a professional, if you think he can last, $100 bet would get you back plus 350. But if you have Gervonta Davis by a knockout, that's a negative 400, meaning that you would have to put down $400 just to get back 100. If you have Garcia with the upset, by decision. That's plus 1,400. And Garcia by a KO, that is plus 1,800. So let's start with Boston Jarrett. Give us your pick and how this fight will end.
I think this fight ends similar to how the Mario Barrios fight ended. I think Tank's power eventually catches up with Garcia in the last 3 rounds. I'm going to go with Tank by knockout in the 11th uppercut, left uppercut. Floors Garcia. I think Garcia will have picked himself up maybe once or 2 other times before that point. And I think the ref calls a halt to the action sometime in the 11th round.
Yeah, that's actually a good money bet. That's plus 1,200 if you got Gervonta Davis by a win in round 11. So that might be, if you got $100 that you got sitting around, you might want to kind of put that down if you're feeling Boston Jarrett's pick. Coach Dave, how do you see this? Who do you see winning this fight and in what fashion?
I think Tank by devastating stoppage, man. I don't know if I don't think it's going. I really don't think it's going to go 11 rounds, man. I'm going to drop mine all the way down to about 8. I know Tank sometimes starts slow. I'm gonna drop mine down to the 8th round, and here's what I think, man. I hope. Okay, this guy, man. This guy, man. Watching his fights, I mean, dude, this guy's hands are so low. It could be that an uppercut, as Jarrett called. I think this guy's open to several shots. I personally think it might be right hook from Tank that gets this guy, even though they're 2 southpaws. When he was fighting Colbert and other fighters, man, right-handed fighters, he was extremely open to that right hand, which is normally natural when a left-handed fighter is fighting an orthodox fighter, which means that another southpaw, he's going to be super duper vulnerable to Tank's right hook. And the man just has his hands down low, man. He bends down. If Tank decides to box this dude a little bit, this kid, you saw what he did in Colbert. He was chasing him, running after Colbert. If Tank moves the way he moves when he fought Cruz, this guy's gonna get impatient and he's gonna do the same thing that Rolo did and get overly aggressive and run into some stuff. And Tank gonna put this guy out. I think it could be a difficult fight if this guy stood up and used his jab and looked for that uppercut on Tank. But I just see the guy fighting. He fights small, man. He fights bending over, drops his hands. And he does not move that head. And he's going to them counter shots, man, just going to light this dude up. So I'm going to go with Tank in the 8th round. Man.
Right. Go ahead, Coach.
No, I said by stoppage. 8th round, Tank.
Geez, you took mine. I was going to say 8th round.
So you got to go first.
Hey, you can come on and join me, baby. You can join me. Great time, stay light.
So I'm gonna go one up then, 9th round knockout, man. Because 8th round was where I was going. Because you know what I'm saying. I think by between 5, 6, 7, dude might slip up and get comfortable. And 8th round, that power ain't gonna go nowhere. He's just gonna catch him. So 8th or 9th. So I go 9th.
Yeah. So the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th round, those are all plus 800 for Tank Davis by knockout for that. So I'll give my pick. I'm gonna say it's a little controversial, but I think Tank is going to. I think he's going to struggle a little bit. I think that Garcia he sees this as his Super Bowl. This is his moment. I think he's going to come in incredible shape. I think he's going to have a couple of rough moments, but I have Tank winning this fight, but I'm going to say that it goes the distance.
I'm trying to figure out how you think Tank going to struggle, man. You still going on this guy's size. And I heard what the casual one said about, it's possible, that fighting in his hometown. But look, man, that joker done fought at Royal Farms, man. He done, in Baltimore, man. He done fought, at what's it, Coppin State University. This joker done fought in Upper Marlboro. This joker done fought at the DC Armory. Hey man, you know, Tank gonna crush this dude, man. So I'm just trying. How is he gonna have problems though? That's what I'm getting at. Do you think this guy? Because the professor mentioned the guy's size, but I don't see him. The fights that I watched, I didn't see him using his size to an advantage of a fighter like Tank. So I'm just curious to see where you think the problem's gonna be at.
Yeah, Cam, you think he's going to fight the way he's been fighting? Or you think he's going to come out and fight differently?
He better fight.
Yeah, I think that he's going to I think that they're going to put in a kind of a game plan to basically defuse, you know, some of Tank's kind of explosiveness. And people think of Tank as this kind of, you know, this whirlwind, this kind of Tasmanian. Tank is a boxer, so I think he's gonna take some rounds to just kind of download, you know, some of this data and kind of get it together. And I think that I don't know. I think that with just the circumstances around the fight, being in the hometown, Tank was out there partying it up in South Beach. But I just think that he's gonna. I don't know. I like, just don't be surprised if you see a little bit of a struggle. You see that maybe Tank doesn't maybe have the singular focus that we usually see, and I think that Garcia will see this as his opportunity to make a statement. I just don't think he has the talent to be able to kind of overcome with Tank. I think he'll get dropped and he'll do that, but I see the fight going 12 rounds.
I think it only goes 12 rounds is if you know, and like I said earlier, you know, I know Tank starts slow. It's like you said, he'll box him a little bit, but the only way is just that if something happens that this guy gets Tank's respect, you know what I'm saying? Other than that, man, it's gonna be download that data, then it's gonna be time to hunt come out that third, fourth round. You're gonna see that boy hunting.
I agree. And one of the things is that Garcia is not I mean, he has 10 knockouts in 16 fights. He's not a finisher like Tank, but he is known to drop fighters early in his bouts or whatnot. So I think that he understands the need to kind of get fighters respect, and then like once they kind of realize it, they'll adjust. And yeah, I mean, I do agree. I don't think that he does utilize his height and size like he can. But Tank is 5'5". This guy's 5'9". I think that just his physicality might pose some issues.
Just one quick factor. Let me throw that in there because we were talking about size and physicality. This guy has never fought at 135 before, and he's fought as low as 126 pounds. So, his frame is a little bit big. He's got longer arms, longer legs, a little bit taller. I think Tank is a little bit heftier. He's got a little bit more mass to him than this guy. We're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see, man. I agree with Dave. He can't. It's gonna be tough if he comes out there and fights how he been fighting. That ain't gonna work. I'm gonna do what I haven't done in a while and give this guy the benefit of the doubt based off of his Olympic pedigree. He comes out and hopefully shows some different looks to at least get him later in the fight. Maybe frustrate Tank, force him to take more time, more rounds to download more data because of the different looks, and get the fight late. Maybe make it ugly at times. He can't just come out and fight the way he fought Colbert, man. He's gonna get, because Colbert was catching him. Colbert was catching him. One thing I told people, I said Colbert was catching him, but this guy is big for 130 pounds. I don't know that he is big for 135 pounds, and I don't know that he's going to be much bigger than Tank.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that just screams of a easy weight cut, and I don't
Maybe.
think Tank, I have some problems, but I mean, but what was, to me, what was Tank doing down in South Florida? Right? Was he training? I don't think he was
Well,
training down there.
what do you mean? Of course he was. That's where his camp was. His last camp was in South Florida. He's had camps down there before. I don't know why
His
you
camp was
would
down there.
have a training camp in South Florida, man, though. But yeah, he's not like he was down there. I know he got in trouble or whatever, but he's had camps down there before. He's had
I didn't know
camps
his
there.
camp was down there. That's why I was mistaken. I thought his
Now, unless Dave, do you
was
have
down there.
information to the contrary? Isn't him and Coach Ford are down there for camp, right?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't think he was down there really just doing out there partying on the boats, man, and lit, but he was working, man. Yeah,
Yeah, I think his Barrios camp was there. Sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
yeah, nah. But I just like to say this though. What's gonna make the fight interesting? I think in the early on, it's like a couple other fights. Watching this guy, man, he'll throw some punches. He'll throw this cat. Will Garcia will throw some punches, man. He'll rip off 3, 4, 5 punch combinations, but that joker head stays in the same spot. But he will punch. So it might, people might ooh and ah at the beginning, and Tank might weather some of that stuff, and but that boy going to sleep.
He gonna bring him out to his brother is from here. Somebody had mentioned that on one of the another podcast that I listened to. His brother is from here, and quietly DC got a lot of Dominicans. It's not like it's not like New York or Boston or Providence, but there's quite a few Dominicans here in the area. And if his brother's here, Dominicans, they're gonna be out. He's gonna have a nice little section, man. It should make for an entertaining, energetic atmosphere, especially if, like Coach said, he brings the fight to Tank.
Yeah.
I don't know how long that's gonna last, but
yeah,
it'll be entertaining. It'll be entertaining while it lasts. We'll see, man. I'm excited to watch this, man. I'm excited to watch this.
Yeah, I am too. I'm definitely. So, all right, our pundit picks are in, and we've given the odds. So I think Tank Davis decision. I think those odds were around 2,500. So you see how much that's a plus 25. So how much people think that's unlikely, and so just a little bit about the purses for this fight. So Tank has a guarantee of 1.5 million. Garcia is expected to earn 350,000 with the pay-per-view split at 60-40 for Davis. So which should bode well for him. His last fight against Rolly Romero, he had a guarantee of 2 million. He made 5 million after the pay-per-view sales, and Rolly had a guaranteed of 500,000, and he made 1.5. So
300,000 to Tank's 1.5. That's like a C. That's like the D side, nigga. Damn.
That's kind of like Canelo and anybody that he fights.
Nah, well, it is, but the difference is
Percentage-wise,
so much more money. I mean, Caleb Plant made 15 mil, right? Danny Jacobs made 15 mil. Kovalev, drunk ass, made 15 and 16
Danny
mil.
Jacobs made 15 mil.
That's why this whole
10.
thing, we talked in the pre-pro about what I heard what Bevo wanted. That's what fucked them up over there at the zone, because that shit got leaked from what I understand. They did not want to leak. That Jacobs purse got leaked, and then one thing led to another. Everybody, the two guys that took pay cuts were the two Eddie Hearn guys, was I believe Billy Joe Saunders and Callum Smith. I don't think those guys made 15 mil, but Kovalev did, who is managed by Julie. Is it not Julie Letterman? Who is the anyway? Kovalev, Jacobs aren't Eddie Hearn guys, and they got what they got. So anyway.
So let's talk about one more fighter that is on the card before we move on to some other news. And that is your man, Demetrius Andrade, and who is somebody who's a bit of an enigma, I think, when it comes to just the boxing landscape. He's somebody that's been around for a while. I think people have been tracking Boo Boo's, since his amateur days. He turned pro in 2008. I've always said I thought he's been pro for 15 years. I thought he's had one of the kind of more mismanaged careers for somebody of his talent level. He's not a superstar. He's not even a star. Really, when people like the Charlos are more popular than him, and we can't even bring in.
I don't know about that.
I do.
If we look at Andrade's ticket sales in Providence and we look at Charlo's ticket sales, do they even do shows in Texas? Because I know Jamel Charlo's undisputed fight wasn't in Texas. That shit was in Northern California somewhere, Indio. And Andrade, when he goes to the TD Bank North or he go to wherever in Providence, he do about 9,000-10,000, which ain't huge, but he not pulling out of fights because the ticket sales weren't moving allegedly. So that's my counter to that. Other than that, I agree. I don't think there's anything that's unreasonable that you said. You can even probably make the argument that that Charlo might be a little bit more popular. Maybe Jamel, maybe Jamal. I don't know.
Yeah, and then we kind of talk about the Charlos. They come as a tandem, but I'm looking at his ledger, and it's just not impressive to me.
There's nobody in. When you say his ledger, you mean his box rec, his resume?
His boxing resume.
Yeah. There's nobody on there that blows you away. I don't think it's as bad as most people make it out to be, but there's definitely nobody on there that blows you away. There's no doubt about that.
When his name comes up, to me,
he's popular on here though. You go to YouTube boxing community, and he's like the Paul Bunyan of the YouTube boxing community. He has his hardcore contingency of guys, and for a guy who has been relatively inactive, who hasn't fought really anybody seriously of note, he still gets a lot of airtime on the different YouTube.
Well, he didn't fight at all in 2022. That's to me that's crazy.
He didn't fight quickly.
Nope, he fought.
Damn, that was in 21, huh?
That was in 21.
Well, he had the whole Zach Parker debacle. That was how he ended up getting not being active, not having a fight in 22. So yeah, but he was injured, and I did tell y'all that he was injured months ago. We had that discussion, but yeah.
But so with that said, what do you expect to see? So he's fighting Damon Nicholson, who's 26-4-1. He's got 2 KO losses. He's a hometown fighter. He's from Lower Maryland, so he's gonna have some contingency of fans that are there with him. His last notable fight was against Edgar Berlanga, actually, and he took him all 8 rounds. I don't know if that's more of a product of him, but. Right. Are we excited to see this fight, or what do we kind of make of? And we can stay with you, Boston Jail. What do we make of Demetrius Andrade at this point?
Am I excited to see him fight Damon Nichols? No. Is it Nichols or Nicholson?
Nicholson. Excuse me. Did I say yeah?
Nichols.
Nicholson.
No, I'm not excited to see him fight Damon Nicholson. I am excited to see him back in action, and then I am excited to see him on yet another side of the street where it should be possible for him to make fights. But no, I am not excited to see him fight Damon Nicholson. But he's, like you said, been out the ring for about 13 months now.
Yeah, he last fought in November of 2021.
So yeah, this is if everybody is entitled to a tune-up, get your body, get your mind right type of fight, especially when being out of the ring. And this is not with me having any inside info or anything like that. If it were up to him, I don't think he'd be fighting Damon Nicholson. I think he'd be okay to jump in the ring with any of them guys over there. I think if you gave him a guy like Benavidez, or you gave him a guy like Plant, or you gave him a guy like Charlo, I think he'd be ready to jump right in the ring with either of those guys. But nah, man, this is kind of more of the same from him. I have not seen much of Damon Nicholson. I believe I watched that Berlanga fight. So I have no idea how this fight really plays out. I watched that Berlanga fight kind of not really closely paying attention to it. So I'll defer to Dave. Dave, you've seen Damon Nicholson fight, right?
Yeah, no, I know Demond. I know him very well, man. I mean,
How do you think this fight plays out?
Yeah, so I met Demond, definitely during my time up there at Headbangers, man. He was up there for a while, man. And I like the kid, man. I really like the kid. My thing of it is this. And I understand you saying Andrade would rather take, this fight. Hey, well, if the purse is higher, then I'd be willing to take it. Don't mean that I'm necessarily ready for it. And even when we first started Pop Talk, me and you used to go back and forth about Canelo and Andrade, and I still say would have still whooped his butt. We used to go back in the beginning, go back and look at the beginning episodes. But with this fight here in particular, I'm gonna tell you something, man. I personally am very excited about it. I got just one fear. My fear, honestly, is that the will not let his hands go, man. But when that boy throws punches, Demond can fight, man. But I'm telling you, we got to see which one's going to show up. I love this man to death, dude. I really like this kid, but I got to be honest and true to the sport of boxing. We got a 50-50 chance of seeing who shows up. If Demond shows up throwing those hands and he comes to fight, I think this will be an interesting fight for Andrade. I think it'll be a very surprising and interesting fight. If he comes up in there a little timid by the name or whatever, all fighters gonna say I ain't scared of nothing. I didn't like what I saw with Demond when he fought Berlanga. You know what I'm saying? He was real apprehensive. He was very apprehensive in that fight. Period. That's just my take. But I'm saying that I hope he realizes this is an incredible opportunity for him, and that the boy got what it takes to make Andrade have some thoughts. And I'm not a big fan of Andrade either, but so I think it's going to be a pretty good fight. My strong caveat is that if this guy comes to fight, and let me define what I mean by fight. Get back what's given to you. That's all. If Demond got that attitude of get back what's given to you, I think you guys are going to be surprised by this fight.
So,
all right. Well, let's see. The word out of Providence is that the power has increased since putting on the weight. The word out of Providence is that he was really struggling to make that. Those last couple of fights at 160 was not fun, and that additional 8 pounds, the power has increased.
Woo. But that's noteworthy. So I ain't taking away nothing from that. And again, that's why I say that strong caveat. I need Demond to throw them hands.
That could. I mean, he was big. I mean, I can't believe the guy was at 154 at one point. But
he was a string bean. He was a string bean, and he's starting to fill out. Similar to how a guy like Hearns filled out.
Yeah, he ain't no Hearns though. Let's not get.
No, I'm talking about his body composition, dude. I'm talking about how he's put together, dude. I'm not comparing the two careers, man. Come on.
No, I'm just saying, just as a puncher, like Hearns was one of the most lethal punchers ever.
Right, but they're both about 6'2" and some change, and they both got 70+ inch arm reach. That's all I was saying.
So, casual. So looking at Andrade, so he is eyeing Jamal Charlo, and he's making his way up to the super middleweight division, and he says that my preferred preference, and I'm always going to keep saying it because there's no more network shit, win, lose, or draw, is Jamal Charlo, bro. So there was an issue because Andrade was with DAZN. He is not with them anymore. And so he has returned to Showtime with this upcoming fight. and he is eyeing this as an opportunity to get the fights that he wants to make. So do you see him getting this fight next?
I do. I think he'll get after this fight. I think he'll get either the three. I won't poo poo. I won't poo poo like if Benavidez beat Plant. I won't poo poo a Andrade Plant fight for Plant on the come up. I won't poo poo that. But I want to see the Charlo fight. A lot of people used to say that PBC or Showtime or whoever was protecting Charlo. But if you look at it now, there's no protecting because he hasn't fought in so long, so he can't be making nobody money. And then you got you got Andrade coming over. So whoever wins, that's who your moneymaker is. So I think at 168, man, them guys can go for it, man. It's four big dogs in the weight class now. And I think 23, it should make for some good fights, man, and see the best to come out. I think Canelo's going to vacate those belts. I don't see him doing any mandatories at 168. And then at 168, man, the big dogs are all on PBC. And let those guys fight for it. And like, there's no this side of the street no more. It's all about all these guys under one house, under one roof, and let them go at it. And I'm excited that Andrade's over at PBC. So now there's no excuses anymore. So like Charlo better not bring up that time when Andrade was under contract to fight Jamel and backed out. He can't bring that up no more. So
he will.
So now it's shit to get off the pot with all of them. Benavidez is fighting, Plant is fighting, Andrade. Okay, this is his first fight over on PBC. So this is his excuse for a step up fight or a showcase type fight. But after that, I think Charlo gets a showcase type fight because he's supposedly coming off an injury. But after that, man, all of them. Them four people need to be fighting each other towards the end of the year.
Well, given that news that you said that was on Boxing News 24 about him vacating.
Well, not vacating. They just say he's moving up.
Well, he move up. He gotta.
Yeah, but it wasn't no formal. He's giving up the 160 belt to go. It just said he's.
I got you. Fair enough.
Yeah, I think it is a good look that he is with PBC, and Eddie Hearn admitted that he really couldn't deliver the big fights that Andrade, warrants with his talent in there. So when you do have the trio of Caleb Plant, David Benavidez, and Jamal Charlo, I don't see any reason why, any of those permutations, can't be made going forward in 2023. As boxing fans, we need it. And I think as Andrade, he's pretty much had a kind of a nondescript career, even though he's been fighting for 15 years. And, at some point, right, as the casual said, you're either going to shit or get off the toilet. He's going to have to kind of make his mark and how he wants to be viewed for his boxing legacy. But not only that, make some good money. I think he signed some pretty good deals, so I don't think
he's made some good money.
He's made, but right, he's not fighting Charlo money. You don't think so?
Well, I don't want to put all the man business out there. I know he got a big ass house on some of the most expensive real estate in the United States of America, and what I heard, he's working on building a indoor pool in his backyard. So he ain't hurting for. He ain't hurting for cash. He got paid a lot of money to fight those nondescript guys over there. So It looks like it's going to have to be Charlo, though, right? Because these other guys, if you're Caleb Plant and you lose to Benavidez, you're not going to jump right in there with a Demetrius Andrade. And if Benavidez wins, you're not looking backwards at Andrade. You looking up. You trying to go for Canelo Alvarez fight.
Unless like you see, you say with the WBO, PBC say, hey, y'all two fight for this vacant. If Charlo vacates, and be like, y'all two fighting for the vacant.
Who's fighting for what vacant?
Like who the winner of the Benavidez Plant fight?
Canelo, if Canelo vacates.
That's an eliminator. That's an ordered eliminator. So if Canelo Alvarez vacates after the Benavidez Plant fight, then Benavidez gets upgraded, just same way that Jamal Charlo got upgraded to the 160-pound champ when Canelo vacated that belt.
Benavidez is already the champ.
You said what?
Benavidez is already a champ. He's the
right, and then they ordered an eliminator, even though even though it should be a mandatory defense, but whatever, we won't go there. So now Benavidez moves right into that championship position. Morrell's another guy who, when Canelo vacates the WBA,
who's Morrell aligned with?
Morrell's a PBC fighter.
Oh shit!
He moves right into he becomes the WBA champ.
But there's no excuse for these fights not to be made. I mean,
168 is gonna be ugly once Canelo let him go.
Well, it's gonna be a free for all. But the good thing is that most of those belts end up over on PBC quietly, and I'm looking at the rankings now. Demetrius is the number 2 ranked fighter in the WBO at 168 pounds without having fought any fights. He's the number 2 guy behind Caleb Plant. So Caleb Plant loses. John Ryder loses. Andrade is right back in the same position he would have been in if he had gone through and fought Zach Parker for peanuts and fucking Cracker Jacks, whatever Frank Warren was trying to offer him in that second purse bid. He's right back. He's right back where he was without having to do anything except beat DeMond Nicholson.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? What belt did he have at 160?
It was WBO.
So that's probably why they probably did a drug deal instead of him becoming the mandatory, going up for the WBO, be the mandatory for Alvarez. They're probably saying, look, he's going to vacate soon. We'll make you number 2.
Yeah, he's the number 2 right behind Caleb Plant, man. So this is gonna get very, very interesting. The odd one is the IBF, because Willie School, who is out there in promotional no man's land, is the number 1 in the IBF. And I told you, I swore before God that I would keep bringing this up. Edgar Berlanga is the number 4. So how much you want to bet that after all these guys fight, or I don't know what Edgar Berlanga has been doing, somehow or another, Berlanga ends up at that number 2 position, or Willie School gets dropped for inactivity and Berlanga becomes that number 1 for Alvarez's IBF.
I mean, at that point, he's just an exhibition boxer at that, you know what I mean? But let's, before we close out, let's drop down a few weight divisions into the super lightweight 140-pound weight division. And we know that our boy Adrian Broner is returning to the ring. Does anybody remember the date? It's February, right? February the 4th. Is it February the 14th? I'll find out. Adrian Broner.
Nah, I thought I saw the Black Prime ad for that. I thought it was April for some whatever reason.
In Atlanta.
Is that where that's right?
It says it was targeted for February, but let me see.
While you're looking for that, hey, Boston, William School, he fought last month.
Did he?
Yeah.
Shit. Who did he? I guess so much for that. I guess they can't drop his ass.
Yeah.
Ooh, that wasn't the Spadenko fight, was it?
Nah, Abel Nicholas Drill in Germany.
All right, never mind. So much for dropping him.
Well,
go ahead, Cam.
Yeah, so I'm showing that it was, but this was just in December. So Adrian Broner to fight at 144 on February the 18th on the return to BLK Prime. Are y'all seeing anything different?
That's I don't know if they'll do that. That's like a month after.
Nah, it's the 25th. It's on BoxRec. Ivan Radcash, 25 February.
Oh, for real?
Yep. Yep.
So,
it's a 10 rounder.
yeah, I think that's a legitimate
at what weight class?
I mean, it's
140 pounds.
No, I heard they already pushing it up to 147.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, okay. But what's the question, Cam? I didn't even think we were going to talk about this shit. We're going to talk about Prograis somehow, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm trying to get around to. But what I'm saying is that apparently Adrian Broner is targeting Regis Prograis after what is assuming. I'm not making any assumptions with Adrian Broner. I don't, I'm not even assuming that he'll make it to the fight. That he wins against Ivan Redcatch is that he is targeting Regis for this. I think it's a lot of cap. I think that's probably one of the worst styles that Adrian Broner could get into the ring with, and I think that he would take a hurtful beating fighting somebody like Regis. So just to kind of cap this off, do we see this as a fight that would come to fruition in 2023? Adrian Broner against Regis Prograis.
Who you want to go first?
You can go ahead and jump in.
Like most things in boxing, it really depends on all the moving pieces, right? I mean,
really,
if Teofimo's people are serious about fighting him, and I still question whether or not that fight actually gets made, then I don't think Regis goes to BLK Prime to fight Broner unless they're throwing stupid money at him. You said what, Dave?
They might do that, man.
Right. Well, no. Well, here's the thing. But here's the question, though, Dave. If you were on Regis's team, they're offering Broner $5 million to fight 10-round fights. If you're Regis, you're asking for what? 6, 7, 8,
the champ,
right?
Yeah.
6, 7, 8.
Damn near double. I go in asking for 12.
Do you take the fight with Broner and pass up the Lopez fight, or do you go in there and fight Teofimo Lopez and beat his ass on ESPN in Madison Square Garden for less money? Because Bob ain't paying that nigga $8 million to go in there.
All right.
Remember, you're the trainer, so you get the percentage.
Yeah. So what?
But you get more glory. One is significantly more glory.
Well, I think he likes Broner up. Period. I think Broner would be a second choice if I could not get that stuff with Teofimo in terms of the relevance of fighters. Now, Broner still moves the needle, gives you hype and all this stuff like that. But yeah, man, I go in there and dust off Teofimo, which beating a Teofimo would open the doors up better for you with all these other cats that's in that particular division, such as Ryan Garcia, because he's just a more established, relevant, fighter. You know what I'm saying? So that would be my take on it is, it wouldn't be about, loot or legacy, as I always, I keep saying to y'all, getting that, the loot might be the Broner, because if them jokers offer up that money,
yeah.
But the legacy, it would be dust off, Teofimo, and then keep on heading up towards the more relevant thing. That would be what I would say.
Right. And Broner's got that 3-fight deal. right? So you still got 2 more fights to make. But the other variable in this equation is if this Devin Haney, and I don't want to derail us here, but if this Devin Haney Lomachenko fight, because it looked like Lomachenko and friends are bullshitting, and they really don't want this fight. If Devin Haney moves up to 140 pounds, and that fight is available potentially for Regis sometime in the spring or sometime in the
man,
summer.
That's not going to be a. Why would your first fight at 140 pounds against somebody like?
Oh, not the first fight, but what I'm saying. Okay, fair enough. I guess that's not enough of a factor to even bring it up. Fair enough. You're right. So I guess really the big thing is the Teofimo that's the near.
Yeah, I think Teofimo, his dad is talking. He wants that fight in April. But so this just came out on January the 2nd, right? So this is just a couple of days ago, and this is from Regis. And reason I like him is unlike Broner and even Teofimo Lopez, this guy's a straight shooter.
Yeah.
So this is what he said. He said Ivan looks like he's in shape. Speaking of Ivan Redcash, but Broner, I don't know what weight they can fight at. They can't fight at 40. I don't think Broner can make 47, 54, 52, maybe something like that.
Jesus Christ.
And you ain't seen the way he been looking hitting the bag?
He said,
listen,
he said, listen,
more
bro.
like his daddy than
he's
than
like, he said, listen, bro, I saw him. I saw him, bro. I was with him. I was just with him. Broner got a stomach on him. So
you see his daddy.
So this is why
back in the day used to brush his hair.
Yeah,
we know. Yeah, but we know. Yeah, I mean he's got that in his genes. But that's why I would say don't even mess with Broner at this point. This guy, right? He's
that's
likely
easy
to
for you
pull
to
out.
say, Cam, because you know it offered you $8 million or $6 million or $7 million to go in there and beat up some guy with a belly. That's tough.
But
I mean, Dave told us he would do, but
that is a moot point. If the guy pulls out of the fight or just does, Broner has shown that he would shit on a promotion or production or whatever
that's why you ask for money in escrow. That's why you ask.
That's
for
why I call it cap. You know what I'm saying? Based off the interview that Broner says. So throughout Broner history, who would you say was a more devastated fighter than a potential Prograis that Broner has fought?
Maidana.
Oh, I mean, Maidana beat Earth, Wind, and Fire out that nigga. But Maidana's not as skilled, but Maidana was big for that weight.
So all right, Maidana's one. Anybody else?
He been in there with Porter also. Porter, that's not a hard puncher, but still, that's a tough.
It's a tough fight. It's tough. Porter's a boxer. I'm talking about Prograis. Prograis probably going to snatch Broner's soul. So I'm saying that to say that Broner himself was like, well, I love PVC because they want me to fight Godzilla. So I take that where he at now. He's yelling out Prograis, but he's fighting Redcash. He has a 3-fight deal. Ain't no way in hell he gonna fight Prograis next, or his 3rd fight. He want that money, so he gonna keep yelling Prograis, but he gonna do Redcash. Either Eves, Ulysses. He ain't gonna fight nobody in the top 15. I guarantee you.
And this 3-fight deal. So this is right, and Broner's not getting any younger. You know, at this
he ain't fighting nobody in the
or thinner.
Broner, he fought once in 2021. That was in February. He fought once in 2019. He fought once in 2018, and he fought twice in 2017. Fought once in 2016, and then he didn't fight more than 2 times all the way back in 2015.
Well, that's standard for these PBC motherfuckers. They one fight every 18 months, right? That's not unusual for a PBC fighter, is it? I mean, we look at other motherfuckers probably got the same activity. How many fights has Errol had over the last 4 years?
Whoa. Errol got the same amount of fight as Terrence Crawford.
Errol,
I don't know why. I don't know how Terrence Crawford came into this, but
I mean,
because you just said Errol from 2018 to today. Terrence Crawford has one at that Abenesian fight, put him one fight above.
But listen, we're talking about guys who are in shape, guys who are fighting the best guys within. I'm talking. Let's stay with Adrian Broner, right? The last guy who was the last guy he fought?
he fought some guy named Giovanni Santiago.
Exactly.
But before that, he fought Manny Pacquiao.
He fought. Yeah, that was in 2019.
I don't know.
Right, it was a long time ago.
Manny Pacquiao. That was a money grab for him too.
I mean, everybody wants to fight Manny Pacquiao. I don't.
He can. He was out there,
that.
came in shape, and before that, he fought Jesse Vargas, Mikey Garcia is probably the best guy he's fought. Going back to what Casual mentioned about, Mikey's probably the closest guy to
like Prograis like probably get you out of there. So my point with that when I asked that question was like Broner ain't looking to fight nobody worth their weight in salt in the boxing ring right now. So these next 3 fights is going to be all garbage fights.
Who does he fight though, Randy? I mean, I'm looking at all these guys.
Where did he find Red Cash at?
In a trash can somewhere in a bar.
Well, then that's
I mean, Ivan Redcash has, he's a name at least. I mean, I've said,
man, he going to 147. He can fight Abenesian.
If I hadn't fought in since 2021, he's got some losses on him, but Ivan Redcash, he's fought Regis, he's fought Danny Garcia.
That was a fight where he quit. Yeah, he said he got hit low.
Yeah, he fought Devin Alexander, but I mean, it was past his prime. He's fought John Molina Jr. I mean, he's somebody that top guys are fighting. But
my point was, who was he aligned with promotionally? Who was Red Cash signed to? That was my point in bringing that up. Okay. I don't know who Red Cash is signed to. His last fight was on a Pro Bellum, was against Regis, right, on some streaming network. So I think they lucked out with a guy like Ivan Radcash. But if you look at the rest of 140, even if we go to 147, I mean, we just went through this whole shit with fucking with goddamn Boots. These guys are all locked into agreements. And maybe somebody says, hey, go ahead and get that money on BLK Prime. But if you're Top Rank, as an example, who has kind of a monopoly on 140. They've got the best guys. You're not letting Arnold Barboza or Jose Ramirez or Sabril Matias. They're not letting them guys. I don't know if Sabril Matias is signed with Top Rank, but you're not letting those guys go over to help BLK Prime make fights. You're using your inventory to make fights on your network. So it's gonna be interesting. I don't know who
he got three bums. These next 3 fights gonna be 3 bums.
Man, I think Matias with PBC, man.
Sabril Matias with PBC. So
I think he's
maybe Al. Maybe
this is my prediction. I'm gonna say that Broner doesn't fight 3 fights under that contract.
Oh, you wildin', Cam. $15 million. He's gonna show up. He'll show up with a bullet hole in his ass.
This guy, man, what has Broner been talking about lately in the news? What has he been talking about?
Apparently, he was talking about Regis Prograis.
No, he's been saying, man, like I could, me and Floyd could fight an exhibition match right now and get $100 million each.
Oh, well, that's going to do more views. That's going to do more views than a Prograis fight. If Floyd go over there and exhibition fight,
Floyd ain't doing it. He trying to talk, man.
That's not the point, guys. That's not. I mean, my point is that is not a boxer who is trying to fight the monsters within his division. He already went and was saying like BLK is all about like, yeah, they're gonna pay you, but you got to fight it. This is not somebody who wants a hard camp that is gonna put up with a hard fight to be able to establish his legacy or doing that. This guy is not gonna. I don't. I'll say it now. I will buy all 3 of y'all steak dinners if he fights these 3 fights.
Hey, I heard that.
Because
I heard that one too, man.
He's doing,
This ain't South Carolina. We live in DC, Cam.
Yeah,
I don't know if you want to offer up no steak dinner. Steak
Okay,
dinner
yeah, all
right
right.
here
But listen, I mean, when is it going to be? He's going to fight 3 times in 2023.
for
I think
$15
he
million,
gonna,
Cam. Like I
Broner
said,
gonna
he'll
try
show up.
scrape, claw, whatever. He gonna get these 3 fights, man. But
You
what he
goddamn
is
right.
trying to do, Broner has become like the leader of a Ponzi scheme,
Man,
where he's
y'all
trying to
act
bring
like
other
Broner-
fighters into the BLK network, and I think that's
Way to throw shots there,
cap.
Randy. Man,
Yeah.
you are the most. You got so much hate in your heart.
Y'all
for
are acting
BLK
like
Prime.
Broner hasn't had $1 million fights. Every time he gets in the ring, every time he gets in the ring,
I'm
it's
saying
7 or 8
Broner.
figures.
Hold on, I'm saying Broner. His fights aren't going to draw the money to make him worth all the money that a Black Prime is paying him. Broner is being a voice trying to recruit other fighters to come over to BLK Prime, saying that the money is real on this side.
I'm saying somebody who's going to go through a hard camp, who's going to get down in weight.
That's not him. That's not him no more.
That's what I'm saying. He's got to do that to fight 3 times. What are you talking about?
Man, no.
All he got to do really is show up to fight.
Yeah, all you got to do is show up, bro.
You don't have to be.
He putting out little clips. He ain't showing real long clips of him training. He throw like 30-second clips of him hitting the bag. You know what I'm saying?
How come he didn't fight his last fight against a guy who was done, who was shot? How come he didn't fight his last fight?
He said he said mental health, right?
That was not Godzilla his last fight, man. He was talking about like Sean Porter.
Fight Godzilla.
He was talking about. Do you remember who he's supposed to fight in his last fight, man? It was a guy
who fight. It was a softball.
It was a softball, and he.
But we don't know how much money. Right, but Cam, he wasn't getting paid $5 million over on PBC. Not when Tank is getting paid 1.5 for a real fight.
But
he was
I
probably making
you on Boston. I argue with you on that point because he said, Broner said PBC will pay you the money that you want, but you will have to fight Godzilla.
Right, but Randy, we say all that to say this. There's no way he was making $5 million on PBC to fight Ivan Red Cash level guys. Yeah. And I say that to say to Cam, for $5 million, what will the 4 of us do for $5 million, right? I'm in half decent shape. I can't speak for the rest of the 3 of y'all. This motherfucker will show up. If he shows up looking like Damon Wayans in that Great White Hype movie with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, he is going to show up and throw punches or show up and not throw punches and just sit there with his hands up. He going to show up. Now, if BLK Prime chooses to continue to pay him that money for the next 2 fights, I don't know. Adrian Broner will show up for $15 million. There's no way he
gonna sleep through that.
There ain't no way he ain't gonna show up, Cam. So I won't hold you to that steak dinner shit.
I'll buy
you. It's gonna be in 2025. This guy's not gonna fight 3 times in this year. I will buy each of y'all a steak.
No, you didn't say 3 times this year.
I know what I'm saying is like I don't have to worry about paying you out until 2024 or 2025, right? That's my
man,
because you don't think he's gonna fight
a day, a week away. Because when it comes,
you keep on pushing it. You keep pushing it, Cam. I'm gonna have to hold you to this shit.
No, hold me. This guy is not gonna fight 3 times. This guy hasn't fought 3 times in a calendar year since 2015 in there. And listen, if he goes in there and gets his butt, this guy pulled out from his last fight because he didn't want to commit. This guy, so I don't care. You can say, but this guy, anytime you leave 7 figures on the table. What that means that you know
when did he leave 7 figures on the table?
In his last fight when he pulled out.
How much was the purse for that fight?
I'm saying it's like it.
All right, let's go see. There you jump.
So this is all right. So this you see that right there. You see what that says right there? That says Bill. So this is recent. That's Adrian Broner right there. That's what
we get it, Cam. No one said the guy was in shape. We know the guy clearly. Look at that, Jesus Christ. Yeah, look. Point taken. The point is, it is going to be very tough. This ain't a 20-year-old fighter. It's somebody that deals.
He gonna fight 3 times, man.
Yeah, Cam, and I'm gonna tell you right now, Del Frisco.
Okay, but what happens? What happens? Okay, what happens? But it has to be 2 sides. What happens if he doesn't fight 3 times?
Oh, wait a second. Now you the one that threw the bet out. Nigga.
There has to be a bet, right? A bet has to be staked.
The deep end.
There has to be staked. There has to be stakes to if it's a bet.
You the one that made the bet, nigga. We wasn't betting you. Not I said that shit.
So
that's why
I'm saying, like, I'll pay out 3 dinners. All you have to do is pay out 1 to me, but I'm getting 1 for each one of y'all.
Nah, because if this nigga get locked up, or if he get hurt, then you gonna try to hold me to that shit.
Exactly.
But you saying you implying he's not gonna show up because he won't be in shape, or he's gonna have a mental health.
I'm just saying he is not dependable as a world-class fighter at this stage of his career. That has to do with getting in shape. That's staying out of trouble. That has to do with all of that.
Now that we've thrown in that caveat, you've made me say yes. Because I not being in shape and staying out of jail for this nigga, that's 2 different things. I think it's far more likely for him to show up out of shape than it is for him, staying out of jail for this guy.
If you come in 7 pounds overweight, they're not going to sanction that bout.
Plus, he be violating probation and not doing child support. Yeah, never mind. You right. He might not. But it ain't going to be because he out of shape. He'll show up with a big-ass fucking pot belly. But if the judge orders him to do he might. I can see him missing a fight more for blowing probation or not paying child support than being out of shape. Let me caveat that, and I will rescind for you. I'm not going to hold you to that. You might be right. Now that we've added the additional caveats, we might be on to something. Right. But he will show up fat as hell.
He will show up fat as hell.
Yeah, he's gonna be looking like what was Damon?
Whatever Damon. What was his name in that damn movie, man? That shit was on the other day too.
The Great White Hype.
Great White Hype. That's right. Eating tubs of ice cream in the back room and shit. He'll have a Newport hanging out of his mouth. Sunglasses on. Somebody will be brushing his hair for $5 million, nigga. Shit. But that shit's crazy. That BLK Prime picture that was recently, or was that for the Terrence Crawford build up?
That was for the Terrence Crawford. I mean, that was them kind of announcing their.
Okay, all right. So that was what? That was like November-ish, right?
Shit, but he looked the same when he hit in the bag. They got a video of him training. He looked about the same, bro.
For when?
Like for his upcoming fight. He in the
but when was the picture taken? When was the footage from?
It was probably last week when I saw it. When he was hitting the bag, bro. Just Google that.
I ain't seen the picture of the date, so I take your word for it, man. Damn, that's gonna be some shit, man. Them BOK Prime, whoever's putting up money for them, dude. Who y'all think it is? Who do you think is bankrolling these guys, man?
No, I mean, Dave broke it down for us. I mean, we won't get into those details.
All right, fair enough. All right, whatever.
But man, dude, if I was an investor, I'll back the hell out of that, man. Because shit.
I don't know, man. The way they talking. I mean, they doubled down. You would think that after the Crawford fight, if that Crawford fight flopped, you'd have thought they'd have cut stakes, right? But they're talking about they're going in for 6 more events. So that tells me either they dumb as hell, or they made it that shit that as much as you would hate to admit it, Randy, that Crawford shit might have done half decent. I don't know what halfway decent is for them. I don't know what those metrics are.
Yeah,
but to me,
it's hard, man. That's hard to say, especially if you gave him 10 mil. I think they gave him 10 million as an investment and not.
Well, we don't know who they is. That's the other thing too, and that's why I asked that question. That's because Terrence Crawford got 10. That don't mean that BOK Prime gave him the 10. But getting back to what I originally said, they're going in for 6 more events. That's not to include the Adrian Broner shit. So that to me, I don't know. I mean, Dave, you in the business and shit. Does that tell you, hey, we're going to stick to it regardless of what the numbers they got behind closed doors, or is that indicative of some kind of success that they've seen or something, some encouraging signs?
It could be a little bit of both, man, but I would tend to lean to a little bit less. It might have been some success, a little bit less on the success side, but more so a determination to get their foot in this industry. And when you already got like a reputable fighter like Terrence Crawford, that's kind of, you know, willing to work with you a little bit, and even somebody as you know, as flaky as Adrian Broner, then you know you're still dealing with reputable fighters.
Yeah,
and all they have to do as that promotion company to get into this game, all they have to do is, whatever money is promised to be paid is just put that money up. And because people are looking for different avenues. People are looking for different avenues to where I don't have to jump through all these hoops. Be okay and let me fight any daggone body. You know what I'm saying? So I would say it's a mixture of both, man. We can't really get into the success of it because we're not behind it. But one thing we absolutely can say is that these guys are serious about being players in this boxing game as an alternative, or a different choice in terms of promotions and getting up out of this top ranked PBC, Mayweather, DeBella, here comes another entity, man. That's, hey, look, we willing to put up 25 mil. Come on, man. Guaranteed.
Wasn't that what the zone was doing in the beginning?
Well, that's what everybody was there. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's not a model that you want to follow. I would say that.
Yeah, because PBC did it too. Yeah. Yep.
So
PBC the zone and now BLK Prime.
I think we're gonna get ready to end the show, but I did find some footage, so we can go ahead and go out on this footage here.
Oh no!
So this is your boy Adrian, and as we watch this, I want to remind everybody to like and subscribe to this channel. We are the pundits of pugilism. I'm your man, Professor Nims. I'm signing out for Boston Jared.
God damn, look at this
The casual red.
What? It's gonna be interesting.
It's like his whole body is in shape except for his stomach. Like the rest of his
got
body,
a pillow
like
in
his
his
legs.
chest.
Look at the quick. His feet are still quick. The hands are still quick. His arms. It's just he got that damn stomach, and that beard is clearly hiding that.
Hold on, his feet have. He's never had good feet, man. That's why the
no. But I mean he's not like he's laboring to get. I mean he's moving up and he's bobbing and weaving. I mean you're right. No, in the ring. And
what is you watching, man? What is you?
No,
he don't look like an old.
Look like they in shape.
But his legs are still there. But.
What is you watching, man?
I'm watching this again. He don't look bad. It's not like you won't look at that and be like, oh man, he's gonna get knocked the fuck out. But
what are you talking about, bro? Do you remember Adrian Broner when he was Adrian Broner?
Yes, Cam. I understand that. I'm just saying, looking at the footage overall,
he did that
the nigga don't.
And then like, you going crazy, like man, that is like, come on.
I'm not going crazy. All I'm saying is that it looked like it's just his midsection in his face. He still got muscle deficit. Now maybe not. He got the long sleeve. He may have one of them waist trainers on too, man. Yeah. We'll see. He got until the end of February, right?
Because they kept pushing it back. So I wouldn't be surprised.
We just came out of the holidays too, right? We just got through with Thanksgiving and Christmas and all that shit. Yeah, so
that's right.
We got January. He got about what, 7 weeks?
He got about 6, right? What, the 25th? He got about 7 weeks. This is the first week of January. He got about 7 weeks. We'll see. We'll see. Regis said, I don't know what he's like. They ain't fighting that. They ain't fighting that 47. Regis said they ain't fighting that 47.
Might have to fight at 160.
All right, but we signed off. Make sure y'all like and subscribe.
Peace.
Peace out. Keep it popping.